Right, we're back here, another episode of OneLife. This one's exciting. We've had a good few months, I think, of energy and conversations about business, which has been very positive from my perspective. We've got a new government. Everyone seems to be talking about OCRs, and banks are sort of talking about what they're going to do this year and opening up and all that sort of stuff. So the conversation today is always about business, but what we're talking about is very specifically about building a business or buying a business, and the pros and cons of each, and we'll just weigh them up against each other. We can talk about our own experiences, what we see, and hopefully give the people who are listening or watching some value in what they should consider when doing it.
Yes.
And maybe even the risks or all sorts.
Yes.
So, first question, statement really, question actually. You've built a business, ever bought a business?
Nope.
Wrong, you have. We did that. Did that together. So my question
It must have been memorable, mate. Was it memorable?
Fucking, how many businesses do we have now?
It's about the definition of buying, right? So we did a merger. At one point,
okay.
Right?
Yeah,
so you've definitely done one.
Yeah, I'll put that one behind me.
You've definitely built one.
Yes.
Bought one at any point?
No. Built one from scratch. Yep.
Yeah.
Bought into two.
Bought into one.
Mm.
Two businesses now.
So neither built.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
When you say built from scratch.
Yeah, built from
So
scratch.
it's building still.
Yeah.
Yeah, built from scratch.
Yeah.
But don't build it from scratch.
Yeah.
Never founded one, but bought into two.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah. So there's many ways to do this, right? Business is business in the end, but we're talking about the start.
Mm.
We're talking about how to get going,
Mm.
and the pros and cons of if you want to be in business, like how do you get going? Like it's the land of the free, you know?
Yeah.
We're going into business. What are we going to do? First question, buy or build, right? So, so just what are your thoughts on buying versus building? You pro any?
No, I'm not pro either. I think every business is different, and I fucking loved building businesses. Still do, but it's not for everybody.
No.
Like you gotta have that grit, I think, to be able to build a business. It's easier to buy one because you're actually able to assess all the risks, assess how much money's gonna be made. You know, you get ROI and all that sort of stuff. When you're building one, it's like it's really you just don't know, and you've just got to go with it.
Yes.
So I would say buying is simpler, easier.
You're
I'd
eliminating
buy.
heaps of risk.
Yeah, because you're actually getting a chance to review. Like this thing's already been existent, so you know what it can and can't do. Whereas if you're building it, you're like, fuck, it's me and my dream and my passion, and wonder if it'll work. So
You don't have the benefit of history.
Yeah.
Success.
It's like buying a racehorse, right? Saying this horse has won 3 times in a row. You're going to buy it for millions.
yeah,
Versus you're going to buy this baby horse.
Yeah,
And
train
you just
it.
got to train it
Yeah.
from scratch,
Yeah.
which is easier.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Yeah, we need a book of Alice's analogy.
yeah, he got good ones, eh?
We'll compile it.
Yeah. Where is that book, mate?
Yeah, we'll sell it for $5 online.
Downloadable for free.
Actually, really
So
good.
essentially, like if you
Really
buy a
good.
business, you're eliminating heaps of risk, and you're buying goodwill in a sense,
Yep.
or processes.
tangible assets.
Yeah, processes, market share from a
I
previous
don't
owner.
think many people see it like that for their first business.
Yeah.
People, I think, have some sort of negative connotation to buying their first business. They see it as more expensive, and then they start talking to lawyers and accountants, and people start going, "Oh, you better make sure you're not buying a lemon," you know?
Yeah, there's a bit of that.
Well, it's
Is
different now because the cost of capital is so bloody high. Back in the days, it's 2% for a mortgage.
Yeah.
Took it out of your house, pay for the business. Nowadays, it's 8%. Business loans are like 10 plus 12%.
Yeah.
So if your business is not returning that same amount of capital,
What's the point?
or ROI,
Mm.
you're just going backwards, really.
Yeah.
How good though, right? When people were doing due diligence back then, it was like 2% interest rate. It's
Yeah.
like, mate, fuck, I
A lot
always jack
easier.
mine up to 10, 12 because you should still get an ROI.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if
Yeah.
you're not, then you need to stay clear of that thing.
Yeah.
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 There will be things in this podcast that people don't understand as we're talking. We're going to be talking very quickly and whatnot. So if there's anything that people don't understand, feel free to reach out to us and we will do it.
Yeah.
Like, you
Good
know,
point.
ROI and
Yeah, so ROI is
acquisitions and
return on
M&A.
investment.
Yeah, stop the
so-
acronyms.
Bloody
the
accountanese.
accountancy. Yeah, the accountanese.
But I think we're talking to the people that are going to be listening here. There's going to be some sophisticated people who are going to be thinking about buying some, and there's going to be people who are thinking about building some. And what I would love in this conversation is if we could give value to both those groups at the same time,
Yeah.
which is hard to do.
Yeah.
But I think that's where we would
Yeah, can I just start off in saying is that small business is the backbone of the New Zealand economy. Can I just say that?
Yes.
So for the people that are starting a new business from scratch or buying a business, we've got to take our hats off to those people because they are running the majority of this country.
Yeah, true.
And there are risks involved with both. I don't think it's a buying versus building. It's an and. You know, you can do either. There's no right or wrong answer there. But I think we've just got to acknowledge that the people that do run their own businesses are awesome people. They're taking the risk. They're taking the risk mostly against their family assets a lot of the time, you know, so they're putting their family assets at risk
And well-being.
and well-being. But they're also supporting a lot of other people in paying their mortgages and supporting their lives.
Yeah.
So I take my hat off to them.
Yeah, mate. Thanks for pointing that out. That's amazing. Yeah. fuck.
Because it's
Yeah.
a stat that says 80% of small businesses don't survive past 2 years.
Yeah.
That's so scary.
Yeah.
That is actually a scary thought.
Is it still a stat?
It's still a stat, yeah.
I think it's
I'd like to
far-fetched,
look into
right?
that. No, you'd be surprised since COVID the number of liquidated companies that have gone through Companies Office. Yeah. So it's
Some
it
don't
could
even
be more than
liquidate,
that.
right?
Yeah.
Could even be more than that.
Yeah.
Some don't necessarily lose money and liquidate.
No.
It's just there's no energy or whatever, right? Like,
Yes.
well, there's no revenue and there's no debt. There's no reason to liquidate, so they might just shut.
Yeah.
You know, and like you say, it's the backbone of the economy. And through COVID, we saw heaps of side hustles, and what we're actually seeing is like a lot of those side hustles like die off now.
Yes.
So there's still businesses, and people are building them.
I mean, I don't mind this stat. I think it's in some cases commendable to shut your business down because you got to fucking know when to pull the pin.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
Some people just carry on, and it's like, mate, 4 or 5
Forever.
years later,
Yeah,
it's
Just
like,
hemorrhage.
right.
you're
after
just
it.
getting
Yes.
worse and worse and worse. So you need to know when to pull the pin. It's going to be fucking hard to go, oh shit,
Yeah.
can't do this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's not always about you. It's always sometimes about the business model or the market or some COVID shit happened. You're like, you don't know.
Correct.
But I think, it's commendable to realise that and go, I'm done.
Yes.
And there's
Yeah.
always another one, you know?
But I think like the best example for us or for myself is building a business from scratch, you know. So, and Cloud Accountants was born, 12 years ago, 12 or 13 years ago now. You guys started Next Gen Accounting, you know, and to start from scratch with no employees, no clients,
Yeah.
No
is
money.
no money.
Yeah.
You know, you had a little bit to scrounge around. So, I mean, I don't know whether it's lucky or just opportunity at the time. You know, Xero was just starting to get some traction. I had a pretty catchy name, Cloud Accountants. But from there, you had your first client, and then they told their mates, and then there was a second client, third client, and fourth client. But I think getting to that point from starting from scratch is like, it's a massive risk. And I look back and I'm going, shit, how the fuck did I do that?
Yeah.
You know, it's just
Or
like,
why did I even do that?
yeah.
You know?
Oh, look.
Can you answer both of those questions?
Yes, I can. Yeah, I can. So why I did it, I spotted the opportunity because I worked for Xero in the UK when they were just beginning over there. So I just knew what the opportunity was for an online accounting system. So I just thought, shoot, this is awesome. Registered the name and came back, and then just went fairly blind into it. But I had like some runs on the board. I had some friends who were clients and things like that. So I think for me, it was a risk, but it was semi-calculated.
See, for me, it was almost exactly the same. It was the opportunity, but the opportunity of the technology wave that was coming in accounting.
Yeah.
But not just
The
that.
online world.
Yeah, it was there was no change. You could kind of see the change of guard about to start happening with the age of accountants and advisors and all of that. You could start seeing the boomers, for the lack of a better word, or generation not moving on and doing good succession planning, and so you could just see it. It just wasn't.
It was in front
happening.
of our eyes.
Yeah, yeah.
really. Yeah.
So there's
The
opportunity
was
there, but there was also the lack of opportunity because they were holding on to their businesses too long, and we couldn't get in
Yes,
when we
Yeah.
were ready. And so we almost had no choice but to start our own.
Yeah, but accounting firms are a proven model, right? We've worked in accounting firms before. It's existed for donkey years now.
Yeah.
You've seen how rich your boss is, how well off their family is. So you're basically just copying the business model but make it better.
Make it better, yeah.
Correct. Using the technology
Whereas
to make
if
it
you're
better.
doing, let's say, tech startup, something like Uber, something completely different, the risk you're going in there is
Yeah.
way higher than starting an
totally.
accounting
Two
firm.
different startups.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
That's a totally different style of business, right?
Yeah.
One's trying to change the world, and the other's trying to just change the family income and wealth.
But a lot of building of businesses came out of COVID, I believe, because people may have lost their jobs, been made redundant.
Yeah.
They went into a consulting business and they were trying to use their intellect to start a new business. So a lot of businesses were born out of COVID, and whether they've lasted or not, I don't know. Maybe some have, maybe some haven't. But that gave people the opportunity to build a business from scratch. And it may have only been a one-man band consulting firm to start.
Yep.
But once you get to a certain point, and when you're building a business, as we all know, which we've seen, you employ your first person, you might find an office space or a shared office space to start, you employ your second person, and then it grows from there, right? But it's still a risk, but I think it was born out of COVID, a lot of those consulting firms, and head off to them.
Yeah, I love to see that. I think there needs to be way more side hustles, and people just taking a punt, like they're so fixated on their employment. And if you have this great idea or a passion for something, then, 10, 20, 30 grand could change your life,
Yes.
And you don't know where it's going to go after that. So it's like,
Yes.
you've got an idea, I would just say, give it a go.
And how many people do you know that have actually been through that have
Yeah.
had a side hustle and they've gone, actually, this has got legs now.
Yeah.
I'm going to hand in my resignation over here to my employer and I'm actually going to let this run.
Oh, I think it's a sensible approach,
Yeah.
like one that I took, to be honest. Like, still had my job, still had the
Correct.
next gen business, and I was
Yeah.
like, you come a point where you're like, I'm not doing either very well.
Yes.
And before you get there, you got to go, something's got to go.
Yes.
And you just, and then, fuck, it was crazy. Once I left my job, on the phone
Yeah.
every
Let me double
day.
down on that. The worst time to start a business is when you have no money. It is the worst time, or you're stressed, or you've got a massive family change. Some people can make it work, but it is the worst time to start a business.
But why though? I don't agree with that.
Well, what are you going to do?
Well, you started with $1.
Yeah, but I had the benefit of not having a lot of responsibility, right?
Yeah, but if you got nothing to lose, I would start.
But if you've got 2 kids to feed and a this and a that,
Situational.
it's yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
But if you've
that's
got
a bit different.
responsibility and no money, and you're bootstrapping, it's a lot of pressure
Yeah.
to make it work. Because if it doesn't work, and it's still like 6 months along the way, and then like you could be on the tipping point, right? And you could make it work, but you might have to give it up. You might have to stop.
Yeah, I think you just got to set a time frame and be like, okay, I'm going to go 6 months.
Yeah,
You've
correct.
got to give it 6 months, and if it doesn't hit this point, out.
Correct.
Yeah.
Like, you can't be stupid about it and be like 4 years later and be like, fuck.
Yeah,
still.
but then people give up on their dream, right? And that's what I'm saying.
But then
It's like-
that's not for them anyway. But it's not for them. If they're going to give up, it's not for you.
Yeah.
So like that's all right. Like I'm actually okay with that too, because it's resilience, right? Like this game is savage.
Well, it depends on personality as well. I see people tap out after 2 months of running a small business,
Yeah.
Whereas
2
if you
months?
push through, just try it out. Didn't work. All right, cool, go back to my job.
Didn't even pass the 90-day probation period.
But see, it's different personalities as well. So we talk to so many business owners.
Yes.
Some people thrive under pressure. Some people
Yeah.
thrive having no money in the bank account and they'll hustle and get
Yes,
those deals.
yes,
Yeah.
They'll start 4 shops, 5 shops.
That's right. Yeah.
Whereas some people crack under pressure.
Yeah.
So you got to know yourself a little bit.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think you certainly know whether you're going to be a business owner or not earlier on, and if you're honest with yourself, some of those people that have started businesses probably shouldn't have. They should have just stayed in paid employment.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that either.
No, there's nothing wrong with that
Well,
either.
there's plenty of money in there.
Oh, totally. And I'm not
Entrepreneurs.
saying it's right or wrong, but I just think some people are made to be a business owner and some are not.
Yeah.
It's almost
Yeah.
as
It's a
simple
good,
as
it's
that.
a good foundation for the rest of our conversation. There are
In fact-
business owners and then there aren't.
Yeah, and then most people are bred, like school system is breeding people to be workers, right? So like there's no actual,
How do you mean?
well, you go to school, you learn maths, English and writing, and
But
you're not learning any
So
resilience,
no
hustle,
entrepreneurship,
nothing,
or
like
anything
money
that.
management,
no,
like
that's
so
fair.
actually we're not breeding them, so it's actually totally fine, and it's not an unusual thing to me to be like, oh, most people go to university and then they go get a job. It's until they get a job and they might have some hustle that was created at home, not at
Yes.
school, he goes, oh, fuck, I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to get
So it's a
you
small
got
amount of
to
people.
have seen someone do it before. I believe before you feel like you can do it yourself.
Yeah,
You know,
that's interesting.
And if it's at home, and your parents are in business,
Yeah.
it's probably easier.
Yes.
But like for me, that wasn't the case. But I had friends who had, in fact, I would think about most of my friends had parents in business, and so like I was seeing it, but I reckon it took me a long time to notice that. Oh my god, they're actually in business.
Mm.
And then maybe just by like osmosis,
Mm.
you know, as you go to their houses,
Yeah.
you see.
You
Oh.
see nicer house, nicer cars. They're doing something different here.
But not
Other than,
necessarily.
you know?
I didn't see that. I didn't see that at all.
Oh, hold on, mate. You can be in paid employment and still have those things.
Yeah, yeah.
Correct. No, but what I'm saying is I didn't necessarily see the nice houses and nice cars.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why I didn't notice it at first.
Mm.
The one particular house, you walk up and there's like a couple of Porsches, and before that there's a couple of other cars. The cars were getting better and better. So business might have been getting better and better. But the other families in business, going about their work,
Mm-hmm.
husband, wife duos, you know? So I think there's people that are meant to be in business, people that aren't. And if you're going to say, okay, I'm a business person, let's talk about some risks about buying a business. Where do the risks lie?
Yeah, so I've got a question straight off the bat with both building and buying. Through experience from you guys and what you've seen with your customers, borrowing money from the bank, which is easier? Borrowing money to build a business or borrowing money to buy a business?
Definitely
Buy.
to buy it. Yeah. Because they see a history of the performance,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Banks are always about risk too.
Totally.
Lower risk.
So if you can show an existing business to a bank and it has the record of how they've traded over the last 2 or 3 years,
Correct.
maybe a forecast going forward, it's a
Yeah.
lot easier.
Easier to get
Well, there's
to
income,
get the
right?
money.
So they
Yeah,
go,
yeah.
oh, there's
So
income
there's
to
straight
service
income.
alone.
Yeah.
Whereas
Mate, you
if
can't
you're
even get a
building-
bloody credit card if you don't have
No.
2 years of trading
Yeah.
history anyway.
Totally.
So,
But the risk is higher.
well, you can still build a business with your own money
Yes.
That's right.
and take it up against your mortgage
Yes.
and then loan
Yeah, you
it back
can.
to
Yeah,
the,
you can.
the
There's
new-
so many mechanisms to buy
Yeah.
a business. You're probably
Yeah.
doing some of that, maybe
Yeah.
giving the house security too.
Yeah.
So
If
it's
there's equity
risky.
in your home, of
Yeah,
course.
so on the flip side, that's probably easier.
Mm.
But if you've got to take that mindset and be like, I'm just going to drop 200 grand in, I wouldn't
Yeah.
buy this thing
Yeah.
for 200 grand, or I could just put 200 grand in.
Well,
back
per our
myself.
previous podcast that we did previous, like
Yeah.
you'd probably have to run that past your partner and your wife.
Yeah, true.
And it may have to be part of your
Well,
overall goals, right?
100%. If you're going into business, make sure your partner knows because you're
Yes.
fucked otherwise.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's not
Yeah,
going to
totally.
be easy.
Yeah, totally.
And it's going to be up and down and all around. Like, who knows what the hell is going to happen the next day.
So,
you know?
so they're quite. What I'm trying to get at is they're quite different beasts. Building a business and buying one. You know, because you could have an existing business that you're buying for $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, and you could approach the bank and maybe get some funding for the majority of that, potentially, depending on how it's trading. But if you're building a business from scratch, you know, you might be able to get an overdraft of 20 grand or 50 grand, right?
Yeah.
And I think when you're borrowing off the bank, this is where people need to be smart about when they pack it in or they don't pack it in. Even if they're buying or building. So, you know, if you're pulling it out of your mortgage or whatever, or if you're borrowing off the bank, you've got to know when it's time to shut the doors if you're going to need to shut the doors.
Correct.
And not necessarily just shut the doors. You might just sell it on, right? If it's not for you and it's not working out, you might just need to sell it on and someone else can take it over.
Yes.
So the risk is that, you know, you might lose a house or you might risk to your ego or whatever. But like, don't be stupid. There is risk everywhere in business.
it's just like buying a house.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the
You
same thing.
don't buy a business at its peak. The clear example, F45s, right? Massive hype. Marky Mark Wahlberg was on it. People buy it for, you know, stupid money for $700,000 because they were making about, you know, 200-300K.
Yes.
So they're getting a good multiple.
Yes.
But now that the hype's died down, BFTs come in, you know, Boxfit and all these other competitors come in, your revenues drop. Now you can only sell it for 200 grand.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I see a lot of that happening right now.
Okay, so to what do you do to combat that? I mean, we call it due diligence.
Correct.
But like people need to do their own due diligence, not just
Yes.
financial due diligence, like due diligence of the fucking world.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
what's the impact here if I go and do this?
Yeah, but sometimes risk is risk, right? You know, same with anything like Bitcoin, you know, F45, gyms or retail. You know, e-commerce is booming right now. Who would have known 50 years ago?
Yes.
right? So that's the beauty about business. There is risk,
Yes.
but you can also make a lot of money through overcoming those risks too.
I'll just save you on the F45 thing, just in case someone doesn't like it. But
Sorry, man.
there's a valid point, right? Like it could be the F45 might. It's not a bad business, but it's like buying a house, right? It's every person's going to buy a different house and a
Yes.
different size and a different shape and a different income.
Mm.
But it could be just the right business for a certain person because let's just say I don't know, my wife wasn't working and she was at home looking after 2 kids and she loves fitness. And all of a sudden, like the F45 makes 90 grand or whatever it is, like, and go, oh, actually, would I buy it as a business owner? No, because I'll be looking at ROI. So there's nothing left at the bottom. Would she buy it? Probably, because she's going to get 90 grand
And
income.
the lifestyle.
And she's going back into the workforce and she
Yes.
only has to pay a few hundred grand or whatever.
Yes.
So there are bad businesses and good businesses, but I think all you're looking for is the right buyer.
Yes.
And you got to get your business ready for that person and then go out and get that person.
Correct.
And that person will pay more for your business than the
It depends
I
on
would.
a goal, right? Because
Yeah.
not all times you buy a business to sell it 2-3 years later.
Yeah.
Some people build to own forever or
Correct.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
Some people build it to sell it to your employees
Yeah.
or whatever, or for their kids. Some people buy it just to flick it in 2 years' time, and that
Yeah.
is a business strategy too, right?
Correct.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
find a distressed business,
Yeah.
you buy it for cheap. Owner wants to get out or had enough.
Identifying it right at the beginning what your goals and objectives are for
Correct.
buying this business.
The number one mistake I see business owners do, or new business owners, is they're sick of the 9 to 5, resent it, hate being a corporate slave. I don't want to make a lot. I want to make heaps of money, but I don't want to work.
I'm sick of working for the man. That's what they say.
So they go out
I'm going
there.
to work for myself. It's going to be
go
so
on-
much better.
They go on online. They look for a cafe to buy. Say, oh yeah, fully managed.
Yeah.
Pay $500,000 for it. You only have to work 10 hours a week, mate. Like,
Your reality
Yeah,
check.
they missed the zero off the end. It's 100 hours a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the most common reasons people get into business, regardless of building or buying, is they want more flexibility, right? They want to be their own boss. They want to make more money and they want more freedom of their time, like flexibility. Those are the 4 common.
Yes.
I can tell you right now,
You can have all of those things.
you can have all of those
You gotta
things
create
at
them.
some point, but you're not going to have as much flexibility because you're always on the clock, right?
Not straight
You're
away.
initially going to have less money, probably.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have more stress because you're your own boss, right? So you're actually in it because it's hard. You're not in it because it's easy and a way out from your 9 to 5 and you're sick of your boss or whatever. So you got to do it for the right reason, and then you can have all those things.
yeah, but also having a business gives you more flexibility. Like if you're stuck 9 to 5, your job is your job. Your job description it is. The only way out is to take your boss's job or get a pay rise. Whereas if you own a business, you have no time, right? You're stuck in a business. You can fix these things.
You can fix
If you have no time, you can hire contractors. You
Yes.
can train a staff, get a general manager. Or if you have, you're too much pressure, you can change your service offering or change your menu.
Yeah.
If you're sick of doing full breakfast menu for your cafe, just do cabinet food.
And I think that's the biggest benefit of buying a business rather than building one, because when you're building, you're kind of a jack of all trades. You got to do everything and can't afford.
You've
to
got all
fix
of the hats
problems.
on.
You got all the hats on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're buying a business, you can buy it for what it is, but if there's things that don't quite suit you, you can actually change
You
those.
get
things.
agility and flexibility as well. Like accounting for, we're sick of accounting. If Xero takes over with AI and we don't do compliance anymore, we just do advisory. Easy.
Yeah,
I still think if you're going to be buying a business and you're new to this game, that there needs to be some sort of school that you go to before you buy this business.
yeah.
Because you have got, if you haven't done it before, you've got no idea.
Yeah.
So you're buying a business, you're buying the people as a part of that business. So all of a sudden you've got employees that you've never dealt with before.
I
So-
100% agree.
So there should be some sort of school that you
Yeah.
go to before you buy a business.
I think-
If you haven't done it before.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
you should. It's so easy to go into the company's office and set up a company in this country. It's ridiculously
Takes 20
easy.
minutes, eh?
Not even 20 minutes sometimes if you're
Oh, it takes ages.
like,
Come
you
on.
know, like if you want to do it yourself.
Yeah.
But I 100% agree that you should know and almost do like a driving test thing, like most of our clients don't even know what the director responsibilities are as per the company's office.
that's right.
The Companies Act.
Yes.
Yeah,
You know?
I guess that's where we step in, right? We educate a lot, especially new business owners. They actually require more time than seasoned business owners, don't you think?
Yeah.
I think that's
oh,
where
they
the risk
definitely
lies.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah, but I'm happy. I love teaching.
Yeah.
Yes.
We pass on the knowledge. We make sure they're protected. You learn as you go. Every time you meet them, you teach them 1 or 2 things new
Yeah.
as a business owner.
Yeah. So the risk is in what you don't know in business generally.
It could also be where the fun is. The fun is, right? Like you're going into a business because you're looking for more.
Yeah.
And all of that, like unknown, is the area where you have fun. You know?
Yes.
And you learn, and like I think that's why you're in business, right?
Yeah.
Like every day is different.
There's always going to be a problem
Yeah.
waiting for you tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And that's a really good point, because some people are real risk takers, right?
Yeah.
And they fluke it. You know, they go
Yeah.
into this new business and they actually make it work, and they actually start to make good money, and they're enjoying themselves because it's something different that they do.
Yeah.
But I think that's few and far between, that person. I don't know. Yeah, I haven't seen it very often, but I have seen it.
Yeah, some people can fluke it. I think someone once asked me, like, what do I have to be good at to start a business? And I said, well, a lot of things.
It's a good question for a start.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is someone who was going out of paid employment and being around the finance industry. And I was saying, well, you need to know a lot, but you don't need to know everything on day one. You can actually start tomorrow and you could be okay, so you can fluke it.
Yes.
But I said to him, in my experience, you kind of need some things to be good at. And I have a belief that you need to be somewhat good at marketing. You need to be somewhat good at selling. You need to be somewhat good at finances or understanding finances, and somewhat good at understanding legals. Because that's where risk and opportunity lies in all of those, right? Where there's risk, there is opportunity.
Yeah.
Where there is opportunity, there is risk.
Yes.
So I think if anyone wants to start a business, before they start, they should do some educating of themselves. And
Yes.
you don't need to understand how to read a balance sheet and a P&L and
Yes.
all of that sort of stuff
Yes.
from the start.
Yes.
But clock in some people
Yeah.
and be like, I'm going to need that person in 6 months.
That's the key.
You build
Because
a
if you don't, sorry mate, if you don't have the expertise in some areas and you don't have an interest in that area, then bring in an expert.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not strong in finance, bring in BetterCo. If you're not strong on marketing, get a marketing person.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, when you're starting a business, you need to have something that you're good at to run that business. And you might be a good people manager, and that's almost good enough. If you're taking on a team of 10 to 20 people and you can manage people well, awesome.
So then, do you only need a couple of the skills rather than all of them? Because you can
Yeah.
just
To start, I think you only need a couple, because like if you're really good
To
at
start
one,
with.
and I think we should add HR to that list that I said.
Yeah, I was
Like
thinking
if you're
about
if you're good at people and working with people, managing people, and all of that, that's like top two, right? I always say there's only two problems in business: people and cash or money. It's like, and if you didn't have those problems, it's pretty cool. It's pretty fun. So if you can handle people and managing people, you could. I would just buy a business if I could handle people.
Yeah.
And if I had the finance backing behind me, I would 100% every time, but just buy one. Those are the two biggest problems.
Yeah, but you'd be surprised how much you actually learn yourself and how quick you learn if it's your own thing. Whereas if you're working for someone else, some people just clock out.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're just building your boss's assets.
Well, they're just in operations, right? That's all they do. They go there, they do their job, and they leave.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
And some people love that, and they don't want the hassle.
Correct.
Of,
Yeah, totally
and
fine.
they don't want the risk, and they don't want the hassle. And they clock off, and they're probably peaceful in their lives.
More than I say.
Yeah, but if you've got that entrepreneurial streak and you've got a challenge for making something different or building something, then that's a different type of person again.
Yeah, it is a personality thing. So that's why we do all these personality tests internally in our team. Just sort of find out what sort of strengths you have.
Yeah.
Because let's say a client came to me, we did a business planning session. He wants to take the business to 1 or 2 million, but he knows he can't because he doesn't have the people skills.
Yeah.
But he's very good at analytical and operations and everything else and marketing. So he said, look, if I want to take it there, I need a business partner or person or mentor to teach me that other side that I don't have.
But that's amazing that he realises that.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
because a lot of business owners don't even realise that.
Good awareness.
You know,
Awareness,
Yes,
that's
definitely that awareness.
Great awareness.
Or they just naive and they just think they're experts and everything, right? Okay, so you just talked about business planning, right?
Yeah.
And I think business planning is a really good thing to do if you're building or buying a business.
Yeah.
That mitigates risk. It also opens your eyes, and inside that you talk about vision and values and opportunities and strengths and weaknesses and threats. You talk about all these things. So I would say to fight off risk and to look at opportunities, doing a business plan
Yes.
is critical.
Yeah.
buying or building. If you're buying, ask them if they have a business plan. If they don't,
Yeah, I think both buying and building,
Mm.
working on the business is the key to make it to success, right?
Yes.
If you don't work on I see a lot of mistakes where people buy themselves a job.
Yeah.
You see it happen all the time.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
they pay 200 grand for a small business. They're working it like a slog, you know, and they spend 70, 80 hours a week. They don't outsource anything. They don't hire people to replace a role. They never work on a strategy or on the business stuff. They don't talk to us about the business plan.
Yes.
And 10 years go by, they're still making the same amount of money.
Yes.
And then they'll go, I want to sell it.
Correct.
And then they'll go, it's not ready for sale, mate.
Yeah. Or they start to resent it. They say, oh man, I work 100 hours a
Yeah.
week. I only make 70 grand a year. What the hell? I should have just gone back into employment.
Yeah, I think every single one of us have had this conversation whereby to sell your business to get the best value possible for your business when you sell it, you cannot be there.
Correct.
Yeah.
So you've got to create a business that is not reliant on you.
Yeah.
You know, and if you can do that, you're going to get a whole lot more money for this business because
Yes.
someone can just pick it up and run with it.
it's important if you're building or buying to understand the end game.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think so. You can still replace you, but you need to do that before you put it on the market, probably,
Yes.
because there are good people that know how to run your business. You just got to bring them in.
Yes.
It's going to cost you. Like, you know, there's an investment cost there. It might cost you 100, 150 grand, whatever that
Yes.
salary is.
Yes.
You
yes.
won't get paid that yet, but you're going to get your exit potentially.
Yeah.
But most people will go, oh, I'm the owner. I want out, and then that owner will get replaced by the new business owner.
Yeah.
So then again, this goes back to two different types of sales, right? Because that's like, well, you're not selling to me now because I'm looking at ROI, and I don't want to run the business. I just want to buy it. Versus this guy wants to be an owner operator,
Buying a
and-
job.
Yeah, which is fun. Like, you know, you just got to know that. Like, this is
Yes.
about end game. So I'm
Yeah.
always like, okay, cool. $1 million last year, 2 million. Oh, that's $1 million 3 years ago. 2 million, 3 million. You know, going from 2 million to 3 million is going to not give you that much more profit, like it was from 1 million to 2 million. So when do you sell?
Yes.
And so if you're going to 3 mil, you have to commit to maybe even go to 4 to 5.
Yes.
If you're going to add in like some extra costs
Yes,
of like
yes.
a manager or
Yeah.
something.
And I think the key to that is doing an organisational review. So, and we talk about the 10 hats of the business all of the time, you know. So it's what do these business owners, and it could be one, it could be two or three, what are they involved in within the business, and can someone else do that role?
Yeah.
You know, so if you look at finance and marketing and selling and HR and the rest, you know, if you can plug those gaps where you don't have to do that, it'll make the business more valuable.
Definitely.
Yeah. How many business owners you see still doing bookkeeping and punching in invoices?
Yeah.
First thing you got to outsource, mate. Payroll, bookkeeping, done.
Yes.
There's something you've been doing a lot of this year, or last year, is tidying up people's books to get
Yeah,
them
mate.
ready for sale.
Yeah.
Amazing
All
what
the
you
time.
can do with a different, same numbers, just looks
Double-
different.
Double exit price.
You can get a better exit price.
Why? Because
It's
I mean,
amazing.
most business owners put their life through their business, right?
Yeah.
Their cars, their entertainment, their overseas trip, blah blah blah. Sorry, IRD.
Yeah.
But when you try to sell the business, it's two different things,
Mm.
right? We'll call it normalization,
Yeah.
in professional terms. We strip it all away, represent the business in the best light, sign off by a CA, it's all
Yeah.
approved, and we present it to a broker to sell it at a better price.
Yes.
So
So
just,
same thing, but those are the painful ones where you got to jump in and do it in a week or two.
Yes.
But there are good processes that we can implement as advisors to do
Yes.
it over the course of 2 years.
I mean, that's
Just,
the thing, right? Accounting's an art, not a science.
Yeah, that's
So,
a beautiful.
so
thing.
same numbers,
Yeah.
same canvas, different artists.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's going to look different.
Yes.
So if you're buying a business, figure out who the artist of that information memorandum and that forecast and those financials were, who was the
Yes.
creator of that document, and are those opportunities real opportunities? Is that forecast real forecast? We see it every day, right? I just put into broker websites all the time and ask for information just for shits and giggles to see what bullshit they spin.
Yes, yes.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Dimes
It's
are
a shocker.
terrible.
Yeah.
So you gotta
Like even the accountants applying financials is like,
It's
really?
just
Like,
last
you're
year's
not helping
financial
your client.
report, you know?
Yeah.
It's like sales. And that's great.
Yeah.
What kind of sales?
Yeah.
Correct.
Cost of goods. Okay.
Is
what
it
kind of
recurring
goods?
income or is it
Yeah.
The
one-off?
thing is if you're on the buy side, then that's good. Go to those accountants that are presenting those sort of numbers because they're rubbish.
Good, but then the due diligence becomes tough too. Because
Oh,
I'm
it
like,
does. yeah.
I can't even advise you because.
But see, that's the thing, right? Business owners don't know what they're losing out they don't know what they don't know.
Yes.
Whereas I'll
It's-
come in and say,
it's-
hey, if you just lift your price by 20% across the next 12 months, hold off on the business sale, that 20% goes straight to the bottom line.
Yeah.
You get a
Yeah.
3 times
Then
exit.
flick it.
Yeah.
You get 100K more.
Correct.
You're going to get 300K more in your exit in 1 year if we just
Yes.
do the work.
Yeah, if we
Just
do
that
the
one
work.
advice, you know?
Yeah, we'll do the work.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's the same as buying a business, right? Like, buying a house. There's people that buy a house and then don't send the limb to the lawyer to review, or they don't get a building inspection. And like, average house value, $1 million, biggest purchase they'll ever make, and they skimp on $1,500 or $2,000.
Yeah.
They should get
That's a
into
shock.
their head that they're going to have to do 10 of these things before they actually buy one.
Yeah,
You
correct.
should never buy the first business you look at.
Yes.
It's always going to be way rosier to you, that first business, then look way better to you. Then you look at the next one, then look at the
Yeah.
next one. Just go through the process.
Yeah.
I don't care if the first one's the best one. Don't buy it. Just go through the process a bit, and then maybe you have in your head, all right, I'm buying a business. It's going to cost me 10 to 20K, and I've got to get experts looking at this because my eyes and my ears don't do this every day.
Yeah.
Get some good qualified advice in there, and don't just send it to your mates and barbecue chats. Like, I hate that shit.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
I get it all the time, man.
Niren, you've always said that, if you're looking to buy a business, you don't want the owners to be distressed, so you want them to be
Yeah.
happy leaving. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Well, it's
'Cause you've
always
said it
my
before.
it's always my first question.
Yeah.
How happy is the business
So the
owner?
reason why they're selling, or
Yeah, so like, okay, cool, you want to buy this business, okay, cool. Is the business owner happy? Okay, they're unhappy, okay, cool. That gives me a whole lot of stuff. If they're happy, great. Like, that means the business must be going all right. They're making enough money. Like, that could mean a whole lot of stuff. If they're unhappy, that's also okay, because it then goes, oh, there's an opportunity here because why is he unhappy or she unhappy?
Yes.
So, like, it's kind of just a gauge because a broker will fill you a whole lot of shit, half the
Yeah.
time you don't even know who the vendor is. So, like, I like to do some checks on the actual person who
Yes.
runs and operates
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I think you can learn a lot before you even start looking at numbers.
And through your experience, have you talked to any of those sellers directly to
Like
sort of
the
gauge?
owners?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the existing owners?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And it's a mixed bag. Like, some of them, the brokers will never like it because they'll fuck up the deal with the owners. But, like, if you're going to if it's a quite a big purchase, then I would always recommend that
Yeah.
meeting. And you can put it into your conditions and do it later.
Yeah.
But, like, because you don't want to waste anyone's time. But it's like, it's always nice to know what position they're in.
Oh, and that's awesome advice if you're looking to buy a business. That's
Yeah.
that's excellent.
I mean,
That's always stuck with me when you've said
Yeah,
that.
it's
in the
not all
past.
about numbers, it's about the soft stuff. too.
Yeah, because it's
Exactly.
a very very big skill to turn around a business not operating properly or being stressful for the business owner. That's a skill that not a lot of people have, right?
Yes.
Mm.
So there's definitely people that will come in and take it and make it great,
Yes.
but it's just not common. So
Yeah.
it's far better to take the Warren Buffett mentality of buy a good business for a fair price.
Yeah.
Because generally those employees are going to be happier, the management team's going to be happier, the owners are happier. It's probably spitting out some money already.
Yeah.
Not a lot of problems to solve here.
Yeah.
We'll pay a fair price.
But I think either way, there's opportunity.
Yeah.
Correct.
Either way, there's opportunity.
It depends how
One's
much
easier
time
than
you
the
have as
other.
well. Some people
Yeah.
might want to do it full time for the next 2 years to flip it off at a profit.
Correct.
But some people want a fully managed business where they only want 10 hours a week.
Yeah.
If you
correct.
buy a distressed business and you only want to spend 10 hours a week, mate,
Yeah, not
in
for
for
you.
awakening.
There's
Yeah.
also different levels of business people. Like, so you got
Yes.
your entry level, you got your like middle level, and then you got your experts. So like,
Yes.
if you're expert, you're almost looking at, okay, cool, how cheap can I buy this? Because you're looking at the shareholder value, right? So you
Yes.
go, okay, if I can pay $1 million, I know it's worth 1.5. I'll pay 1.5 in fact, because it's worth 1.5, but I know that I can take it to 1.8 if I make these small changes. And you obviously, so that's an opportunity buy.
Yes.
But no, your entry level business owner is not going to be able to see that,
No.
and probably even be able to make those changes to uplift its value.
Mm.
Yeah.
So then just kind of knowing where you are, I think is quite important, and be like, oh, actually, I'm down here.
Yeah.
And
What I'm hearing is that there's a whole bunch of variables there.
yeah,
Yeah, one of
Just
the
with
biggest variables that I hear people, why lots of people like to buy businesses they've already been in for, say, a decade, and they use the term, I know where the bodies are buried. Right? Like they already know like where the
Yeah.
bad things are,
Yes,
and
yes,
hopefully
yes.
there aren't a lot of bodies buried, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
And so that's a better buy.
Mm.
You've been in it, you've seen it, you've done your 10 years of due diligence. You
Yeah.
don't need, that's a smart play.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you're when you're buying something that you haven't been involved in, you've got to seriously think about, okay, how do I mitigate the risk of not knowing where the bodies are buried?
Yeah.
And maybe one of those things is, we give advice on don't do a share purchase, do a business and asset purchase.
Yeah.
So getting that advice up front is very important.
Yeah, so I think we've got 3 examples here of where we have expertise in BetterCo. I think, like yourself, Alistair, in hospitality. You've been through a lot of buy and sells over the years, I'm sure. Niren, retail. You've probably got some
knowledge, yeah.
Some knowledge.
Generalist, but
yeah, generalist. But at least you know how the numbers should look. I've had the same some experience with you with going through some numbers.
Yeah.
But professional services. If we were to buy an accounting firm, we would know the ins and outs, and we would know where those bodies are buried for that
or where
term,
to look.
or where to look. So accounting firms, professional services. So we've got some skill sets there that we can advise people on.
I think on that point, if you're in the industry, like we're accountants, right? We're in the industry. If you're another accountant wanting to sell, you should be selling to us. So know who you want to sell to. Just ring us and go, we want to buy your business because we know what it's worth and we'll pay you a fair value, right?
Yes.
Same in retail, same in hospitality, same in professional services. Go and sell it to somebody that values that business, understands it, and will pay a fair price.
Yes.
And it's just because if you can go as a broker, that's all good. They'll just scattergun the thing unless there's a clear strategy. Some of them are really good. But I would always list out, it's even when you sell your house, right? Go and ask the neighbours before you put it on the market. They might want the fucking house. So it's ask the people in your networks and go, oh shit.
That's good advice, man. Know your buyers.
Yeah.
How many times have I seen the house thing and it just does my head in? Just simple questions, right?
Well, same with businesses, man. People walk into our advisory session saying, I want to sell the business for 10x revenue. But you're have you done some research? Do businesses actually sell for 10x's in New Zealand? And traditionally, we've seen so many numbers. New Zealand's multiple price on exit of any business is always lower than the likes of Australia or US. Why? Because there's less economy of scale, firstly. Second is less access to capital, right? There's money going around. You sell the business for $1 million, no one can afford it. You drop the price to 800K. That's the reality of it. So knowing your buyers, if you want to sell for 10x, are you selling to someone overseas that will take over New Zealand market share? Yes. Are you selling to your friend that want to pay more for it? I don't know. So,
Yeah. There's 100% the globalization is truly a thing in business. Yeah. The sad thing is most businesses in New Zealand don't get big enough to get that multiple, right?
Correct.
So they're still hitting the 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4 times profit. Okay, so we've talked about a whole bunch of things about buying and selling, buying and building a business. I think the way to mitigate risk is almost the same, do your due diligence, educate yourself and do all of that.
Yes.
Anything you guys can say about how does it go in the end? We've all been doing this for 10 years or so. How does it go? And how does it feel when you feel like it's working? Because at times we've felt like it's working and then not working and then working. How does it feel when it's working?
Oh, for me, there's always going to be challenges, whether it's working or not. There's always going to be challenges in business, and you've got to be ready for those curveballs. And a lot of that, unfortunately, comes with experience. So if you've been in the game for a while, you're going to have growing pains. If your revenue's increasing, you've got more people that you have to deal with, maybe more suppliers, more clients, more customers, so there's all of those, more staff, more team. So there's always going to be challenges. I think if you have that mindset, I've always had that mindset that there's always a curveball coming around the corner. So it comes as less of a surprise. But as you grow and you've got the people around you, it's so good. I really enjoy it. And you've got to have fun while you're doing it. And, I bang on about OneLife, but it always comes back to what's happening in your personal and business life. So you've got to think about both of them at the same time as you're building that business is key. But you've got to have fun along the way.
Yeah. Having the right people around you in the business is so important too, right? I come to work every day. It's bloody fun with you three. I always say it as a saying: if you go and shovel shit in the forest with your best mate, you're still gonna have the best time.
Write it down. Analogy book.
Yeah. See, it's if you have a bad business partner that just resents you for whatever you're doing, it's always gonna break. Nothing's gonna work in the business. So so important.
So do it with people that you
brilliant,
love,
mate.
right?
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Good, on
How
fire.
does it feel for you when it's
Oh,
going well?
like I love business so much, like, and I just think it's fantastic. You know, like the thing I love most is when someone inquires and sends a lead and go, I want to buy a business or I want to start a business. I'm like, fuck, good on you. Like, there's just not enough of that around, and like we need business owners, we need people to get in jobs and
Yes.
employment, we need to pay more taxes.
Yes.
And the only people that are fronting up, or not only people, the people that are fronting up, like you said earlier, are small business owners. Like, I want to see more of that. I love it, and I
Big
just,
time.
you know, I fucking
Mm.
just makes me feel so good. Like, it's never going to go great, but like if you want to do it and you can do it, then fucking do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's how does it feel when it's going well? Obviously, I'm a money person, so I like when it's making money. But actually, it's more about the people within the business. So, like when I see people within a business, especially ours, like growing themselves, like juniors to seniors, or someone going from seniors or manager or whatever. When I just see growth in a person, I'm like, yeah, maybe I should pat myself on the back, you know, because no one ever does in business. But like, you should pat yourself on the back if you feel like things are going well, if it feels good to you that your people are growing. For me, that's when I'm having fun, making money, seeing growth in other individuals.
Yeah.
For me, that's when I feel like it's going well.
Yes.
Give them a pat.
Good job, mate.
Cheers, man. Thank you.
You see, that's the most important thing, right? See, a lot of business owners, they think it's a solo role. It's not. You know, having an accountant there to sample your ideas or just telling you you're doing well means a lot, man. Just every quarter,
Yeah.
you say, hey, look, I've seen other businesses, you're doing way better than them,
Yes.
because they don't see it.
That's all they need to
They
hear.
got
The
blinkers
amount of
on.
people
Yeah.
that, because I do this a lot too, right? The amount of people that get teary-eyed when I say it,
Mm.
and like, I don't like the emotion, so I like get over it pretty quick, move on very quickly. But I'm like, I'm learning to let them soak it in.
Mm.
Like they get teary-eyed, and I deal with a lot of husband-wife duos,
Yes.
and I see it soaking in, and I'm like, man, this must feel so good for these people right now. Just take a moment, let it soak in.
Yes.
That is how it feels.
Yes.
The amount of people accountants not telling their client if they're actually doing, or being honest, right? Like when I say it's going well, it's going well. If it's going shit, it's going shit. Like there's no bullshit. Like,
Don't hide.
You've
Well,
got to
there's
be. You've got to be straight up.
It's
There's
just
only
straight up
three
about it,
people
you
that
know?
will see your books: your wife or your husband, your accountant, and your banker. Your banker
Yeah.
don't give a shit, really. So. Sorry about this.
I wonder how many people are actually getting that like energy and going, oh, tell me the truth. Is it going well or is it
Yes.
not? Like you need that. And if it's going
Yes.
well, fuck, it's going well. Like
If it's going
tell
bad,
them.
it's going bad.
Yes.
Like, just
Yes.
Yeah.
be honest.
Yeah.
To wrap this up, I think, like, you know, if you're going to build or buy a business, there's some to-do lists that you got to do. The first thing you got to do is you got to educate yourself. HR, legal, finance, marketing, sales. You can learn all that stuff,
Yes.
but like you need a good base knowledge.
Yes.
Let's just agree on that. So some of the things you can mitigate, how you can mitigate that if you don't have all that knowledge, business planning session is really, really good. An organizational review or chart of like what are the departments in this business going to be,
Yes.
who runs it, what is each person responsible for. I think that's really good. And then a financial forecast is basically a must. You
Yes.
know, like you need that. Don't just do 1 year budget, take it out 3 years, 5 years, because as we always say, it's one life. You've got to make sure that this business is giving you back what you need at home,
Yes.
and hopefully plus some. So that's your to-do list if you're going to build or buy. And then just some reminders, business is not for everyone.
Yes.
Okay?
Totally fine.
Very important.
Yeah.
Business is not for everyone. So if you get in it, you don't like it, it's not working, just get out. It's not a loss. Work on the business. Don't just buy yourself a job, because then you haven't built a business or bought a business. You've built a job or bought a job. Very important. And understand why you're doing it in the first place, and then understand your end game to get there. Because again, one life. Why am I doing it?
Yes.
How's it going to end? There's a great book by John Warrillow called Build to Sell. In that book, he talks about
Great.
put
book.
your number on a piece of paper.
Love
If
it.
it's $1 million, put it in the thing. Say, okay, when I get to that value, I'm going to open the envelope and I'm going to sell it. So you put the number in the envelope, you seal it, you tape it, you chuck it in the bottom drawer, and you just remind yourself when you get there, open the envelope, make your decision.
Yes.
And make sure
99
you
times
tell
out of
your
100.
accountant, mate, what the
Yeah.
number is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably it from us today. We'll do I think the next offshoot of this will be how to sell a business,
Yeah.
how to get ready to sell a business.
Yes.
How to maximize the sale price of your business.
Yes. Yeah. I think that would be good. Any closing remarks?
No, great session.
Yeah, awesome.
Another great.
All right. Thank you.
Awesome.
See you guys.